Alright, so we got some things to talk about today on this channel. Last few days, last couple weeks, I've been talking mostly about Kirby Air Riders and Metroid Prime 4, and I will still continue talking about that, but today's video is going to be different. It's going to be a different topic. So, right now, there is a lot of talk about Nintendo Switch 2 and how Nintendo hasn't really been sending out Switch 2 dev kits to these third-party companies. And there's a lot of third-party companies, apparently. Now, from what people are saying, from what YouTubers are saying, and people like Sunbro Nation and others, AGN just made a video that just dropped recently where he was pretty much complaining about this. He's complaining about the fact that it seems like Nintendo has not sent out dev kits to these third-party developers. They're kind of just holding out. By the way, AGN, Ascended Gaming Network, I believe that's what it stands for, AGN. Go check him out. He makes a lot of good videos. He also does some live streams, so if you ever want to watch him play Donkey Kong, Mario Kart World, whatever, you go check him out. He's got a really cool channel, and he's basically just a gamer, but lately he seems to be more invested in the Nintendo Switch 2 for good reasons. So he's clearly one of these guys that enjoys video games or whatever. He isn't big on just graphics and things like that. He wants fun video games. So he does have a good channel. There are some great things there are some good points that he makes from time to time. There are a lot of things that he says that I just completely disagree with, but he seems to be very how do I even say it? I guess just well-rounded as far as, the way he thinks and whatnot. So check out AGN. He's got a good channel, whatever. But I'm pretty much responding to his last video that he made, or rather, I'm just giving my input when it comes to this, and that's the fact that, it seems like Nintendo has not been sending out dev kits to third party. So that's the big talk right now. It's like, why is this an issue? Why is Nintendo not sending out their Switch 2 dev kits to these third parties? What is going on? People are getting kind of mad about it, but some people have brought to my attention that it could be that Nintendo does not want their charts to be taken over by live service games. And so this was something was pointed out by Matt Piscatella about Xbox and PlayStation and how their charts or whatever are just dominated by live service games. PlayStation's charts are dominated by Xbox games, and there is a belief that Nintendo is trying to prevent that from happening. Nintendo is probably not wanting these big third-party games to come over and, outsell their own first-party games. I still think their first-party games will outsell the third-party games, but what I think Nintendo is trying to do, and I think this is very smart, and this is why Nintendo is the best company right now today. I think Nintendo, they've already realized that they've won the console war, right? Their consoles are outselling PlayStation's garbage consoles, Xbox's shitty ass consoles. They're outselling these consoles big time. The Switch, the original Switch, is still outselling the PlayStation 5 in Japan. Okay, it's still outselling it by I think 15,000 consoles or so. And of course the Switch 2, it's outselling it by hundreds of thousands of consoles. So right now, going forward, I think the Switch 1 and Switch 2, they're just going to keep dominating, as far as console sales go. So I think what Nintendo is doing now is, I think now they're going to try to double down on making their first-party games and their third-party exclusives, if they get any of those. I think they're going to try to make those be the games that, dominate the entire market, period. So they already beat Xbox, they already beat PlayStation when it comes to console sales and software sales as well. But now I think they're now aiming their sights at just these third-party, developers, and now they're probably looking to, wipe the floor with them as well. And I think that's great because you know what? These third-party developers, they can go eat shit. Fuck them. Ever since they decided they were going to, basically forsake Nintendo way back during the N64 days, during the GameCube days, and they were just not going to put their games on their consoles for very stupid reasons, all right? I don't give a fuck what people say, all right? These were very stupid reasons, not wanting to put games on the N64 because they were using cartridges and not CDs. Very fucking stupid. Choosing not to put your games on the GameCube, even though the GameCube was more powerful than the PlayStation 2, more powerful than the Xbox. It was the best console of that generation. It was the best console of that generation, and it had the best exclusives as well, but unfortunately stupid people, they neglected the system for retarded reasons, of course. And Nintendo after that was like, okay, we're not gonna play this stupid game of making our system more powerful, because clearly gamers didn't give a shit about it being more powerful. And third-party companies, they didn't work with Nintendo and put their games on GameCube, and it was for something as dumb as like their discs being small and not the usual regular size. You know what? I actually like those GameCube discs, by the way, those small discs. I actually really like that. That was really cool. It was so easy to just pick those, to just pop those in and whatnot. And you know what? The PlayStation 2 discs were the cheapest pieces of shit ever. They get the tiniest bit of scratches on them, and the game wouldn't work. And I seen this happen with so many stupid friends that I had who had a PlayStation 2, and I wanted to play a certain game, like, it doesn't work. I'm like, what do you mean it doesn't work? Oh, it doesn't work because it's a little bit scratched up. And I'll look at the scratch marks, and they don't even look that bad. And I'm like, damn, dude, why don't you take care of your fucking games, And then I remember some other guy being like, this is just a problem with PlayStation 2 CDs. Like, they get a tiny scratch and you can't even play the game anymore. So you could get scratch marks on the GameCube disc, and they would still be able to play, for the most part. So these third-party developers, these stupid assholes, they've been lowballing Nintendo for decades now. Since the N64, since the GameCube days. They were doing it during the Wii U, okay? They were basically being dickheads during the Wii U, even though the Wii U fucking had everything that they needed, right? It was finally HD. They had regular size fucking CDs and shit. And yet these stupid ass third-party developers or whatever, they were just being fucking lazy and not really supporting the system at all. And that really pissed me off. Even the Wii, I think the Wii, they didn't support it, and that's because it wasn't powerful enough and whatnot. The regular Switch, while it did get more third-party support, I think there was still a lot of bullshit going on. The Mortal Kombat game or whatever, and how it looked like complete trash until somebody, did a good job and optimized the game and made it look good. But, unfortunately, a lot of these stupid third-party developers, they have screwed over Nintendo in so many different ways, making shitty games, and then people look at the system and they're like, oh, see, this is proof that the system's underpowered and it's not a good gaming system. And it was because these stupid third-party developers were just half-assing it and whatnot. So they not only did they not support these systems, but they also purposefully gave them like a really bad reputation, even though a lot of it was their own fault. It was their own doing. So right now, I think they had this mindset. Like, Nintendo obviously has a mindset that they want their games to outsell every other game out there in the market. No doubt about it. That is what Nintendo wants to do. However, I want to believe that Nintendo also has a grudge against a lot of these third-party developers, and they just want to freaking run them out of business. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case. I wouldn't be surprised if Nintendo's like, you know what, fuck them. We're not going to bring their games to our console. We're not going to allow them to sell more copies of their games. We're going to let them just, sell it on Xbox, PC, and PlayStation, but we're not going to increase their sales by bringing their games over to our system. And we're also going to make sure that it's our first-party games that sell the most consoles, the most copies this year, right? I mean, the Switch 2 has only been out since what, June, right? So it's still fairly new. And I think right now what they want to do is they want to make sure it's their games, it's their first-party games that get dibs first. You know, it's their games that people, you know, spend their money on. And I think that's a very smart idea. And so I don't really have too much of a problem with this third-party thing, you know. A lot of people are upset about this, and I'm just like, nah, you know, I'm not really that upset about it. And I just had to look out the window here. I saw some ladies walking a basset hound. I like basset hounds, favorite lap dogs. Anyways, I'm heading to the gym right now. So, yeah, I'm actually happy about this, if that's what Nintendo's doing. We don't know what the situation is. We don't know why this is happening. I want to believe this is the reason. I want to believe it's because Nintendo has this master plan to make their games the most popular games. You know, make those be the best-selling games on the system, and then slowly start to let, you know, the third-party games come to the system or whatever. But I think their master plan is, you know what, we're going to make our games the best-selling games. We're going to make our games the most sought-after games. And pretty soon, all these third-party developers who have been, you know, blowing their money on making these fucking expensive-ass games with, you know, photorealistic graphics and, you know, all these voice actors and shit, you know, they're all gonna eventually just go under. And we're seeing that happen a lot. I mean, Ubisoft has been trashed this year. I mean, we got Bungie for PlayStation. They have been dropping the ball. We've seen a lot of PlayStation studios go out of business. That was pretty damn funny. But there's a lot of studios out there that are just, you know, laying off hundreds and thousands of game developers and just shutting down completely. And Nintendo's over here thriving. Nintendo's over here just kicking everybody's ass. And I think that's on purpose. I think Nintendo's like, hey, you know what? We're not gonna put our Switch 2 dev kits in the hands of these third-party developers yet, because we want our games to sell by the millions. Look, the holiday lineup right now, it's looking phenomenal. It's looking great. And what is it? It's Kirby Air Riders, which is my most anticipated game. A very fun Smash Bros. Games with vehicles in it. That's pretty much what it is. Made by Sakurai himself. You know, you got that awesome, epic fighting multiplayer game right there. That I think is gonna do like 30 million and more. You got Metroid Prime 4. A lot of Metroid fans are excited for that, and I'm hoping that there will be a Nintendo Direct that is just dedicated to Metroid Prime 4. That's going to show off even more great stuff, because so far what they've shown has been basic and not so great. But I think the plan is, as soon as we get close to that game launching or whatever, they're gonna drop a bombshell or whatever, and they're gonna give people a reason to want to buy this game, even people who aren't that big on Metroid Prime to begin with. And then you got, of course, Pokemon. And you know what? There's obviously that really huge fan base for Pokemon, right? So, with all that being said, I like what Nintendo's doing right now. I like the fact that their holiday lineup, you know, it barely has any third-party games to begin with. And I also like the fact that they're trying to make these other franchises, you know, like gain a bigger audience, you know? Because I mean, if they did the whole like Super Smash Brothers and new Mario game and new Legend of Zelda game, then, you know, games like Kirby Air Riders and Metroid Prime 4 would probably be getting overshadowed. So I like this direction Nintendo's going in. It's like, okay, now we got to make Kirby popular. We got to, you know, that's why they had Sakurai make this Kirby Air Riders game. Now we got to make, you know, Metroid more popular. So now we're getting Metroid Prime 4, and it's going to be a holiday. It's going to come out on holidays. This is perfect, you know, and it gives me hope that pretty soon we're going to see an epic Punch-Out game, F-Zero game. I have great faith right now that those games will make a return. I mean, come on, they just brought back Donkey Kong. They brought back Donkey Kong, and I'm not talking about, like, you know, Donkey Kong Country. They brought back 3D Donkey Kong and made it this phenomenal game, you know? So what's next? Punch-Out, Star Fox, F-Zero, those three games, if they bring those back and they're just games that are reinvented or revolutionized, man, I mean, Nintendo's just going to keep getting bigger and bigger. Their intellectual property is going to continue to grow its audience, and that's going to be all the better for Nintendo and gaming in general. So that's what I want to see happen. I am not going to complain at all about this third-party situation. People are also talking about the Elden Ring situation or whatever. Like, whatever. Okay. I just want to see Nintendo's first-party games and third-party exclusives dominate. They need to continue doing that. And you know what? If they're going to get third-party games, you know what? Fuck these other third-party games. Make third-party exclusives instead. Just stick with third-party exclusives. Kind of like that Duskbloods game that they have coming out. You know, they need to do more of that. They need to do more third-party exclusives and have these third-party developers make some of their games, you know, like kind of like when Ubisoft did that Star Fox game. Very great game. It should have sold way better than it did. I think it did like 88,000 copies. What a fucking shame. But yeah, have these big third-party developers just, you know, work on some of your intellectual property and make those the best-selling games. That way they have no choice but to do those type of games. And then they're going to pretty much be only making games for Nintendo and not for anybody else. So that's what I want to see happen. Hopefully that's what happens. Anyways, you guys in the comments, as always, let me know what you think. Shout out to my 43 plus subscribers out there. Thankful for all of you guys. If you disagree with this and you want to see more third-party games come to the Switch too, go ahead and tell me about it. If you agree and you think that this is the right direction for Nintendo, if you think Nintendo's being smart here and they're basically prioritizing their first-party games over the third-party games, which is what they should be doing, you know, please let me know. I already know there's, you know, clowns out there like Doc Dre 81 and, you know, Black Baron, Emperor Baron or whatever, who, you know, they seem to only care about third-party games coming to the Switch too. They don't really care much about the first-party games. And it seems like a lot of, you know, so-called Nintendo fans only want to see third-party games come to the Switch. I'm like, okay, why are you Nintendo fans exactly if all you care about is seeing these third-party games come to the Switch? And of course, the mindset, the thinking is that if once they get the third-party games, then it's pretty much over for Xbox and PlayStation, and that, you know, nobody's gonna ever want to buy any of those consoles. But the thing is that the Nintendo Switch is already outselling both of them. It's already outselling both of them. Switch 1 and Switch 2 is already outselling them by a large margin, thanks to their, you know, their hybrid console, but also because of their awesome first-party exclusives. So at this point, no, they don't have to do that. They don't have to prioritize these third-party games in order to make that happen. They just have to keep making their first-party games the most popular games, and people are still going to buy their consoles over the other guys regardless, because most of these third-party games today suck anyways. So yeah, that's the way I see it. So y'all let me know in the comments below what y'all think. What do you think about this third-party situation? Nintendo seemingly prioritizing their first-party games as they should. Do you think there's going to be a huge Nintendo Direct coming this September that's going to highlight even more first-party games to come in 2026? Maybe some coming in 2025? I really hope so. I think that would be badass. But so far, I kind of like this idea that, you know, they're prioritizing their exclusives and their first-party games. So again, let me know what you guys think below, and I will talk to y'all later. See ya.